The Edge of Never. I'd long had a rapture with the image of the Tetons in a mirror reflection in Jenny Lake. It became three-dimensional when I hiked with a pal, Chris, up and around and back down the peak of Grand Teton. Chris and I were at the end of a year-long trail of experimental lifestyle. Our little band of communards had just broken up when we set out on our hike. We'd driven all the way from Cape Cod. We were supposed to rendezvous with the others in the Tetons, but checking in by phone to make the final meetup itinerary. "We're not coming." A long, empty hiss and then silence. It was a moment on the life journey when the trajectory shifts abruptly. The hope was to feel separation from the detested world of eco-destruction and the soul-numbing fog of advertising. It was wishful thinking. We could solve the world's problems with lifestyle alone. In grad school for sculpture, I had minored at the Ag School in vegetable production, working on my merit badge for self-sufficiency, soil chemistry, crop rotation schemes, etc. On Cape Cod, where we had rented a big house to fit us all, I learned the rudiments of old-time construction, specializing in post and beam barn raising. I was ready for the new age, my new age anyway. My toolkit was ready. We didn't know it, but you could kind of have felt it. The Aquarian wave had crested that July of 1974. We saw $10 million worth of Huey helicopters shoved off the flight deck of the USS Midway in the Tremple to leave Vietnam. Nixon was a month from resignation. Gas prices tripled overnight. On our 3-day backpack trip, we would hike up to a lake behind the wall-like front of Grand Teton Mountain and back down Cascade Canyon. It was a moment for deciding, and we had vowed to ourselves that on the hike we would decide if we would push on to the California Promised Land or go back east. Turned out to be a tricky trail, both the journey west and the hike up the mountain. We all know a psyche in its mid-20s carries a lot of goofball enthusiasm, all slathered with hubris. We had a bibliography. It included Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism by Chögyam Trungpa for the lowdown on Tibetan Buddhism. We carried this Strout Realty catalog, wish book of country living, page after page of country properties. Be Here Now, of course, and some volume or another in the Carlos Castaneda Library of Shamanic Mysticism. Junita Ixtlan comes to mind. We ran into a couple of snowy impasses and then a rocky jut where we had to haul our packs on ropes up and over. God, just don't look down. On the trail up, we saw one hapless chap, shoulders by his companions, cross-eyed and stumbling with the effects of a concussion from a bad tumble. Yikes. On our first overnight on the mountain, we were refreshed from the crushed travel in our VW counterculture Conestoga. The hard hike got us charged up with our little mini Triumph. We got to the backside of Teton Peak. The adventure getting through the pass kicked open the doors to a little Shangri-La, a series of alpine glacial lakes, aqua and milky, from the ice grinding the native granite to powder. It invited us to linger and lunch. Breathtaking swim in ice-bound water washed our disappointment at the dream deferred up into the cobalt sky. It came unbidden as we sat there, sitting on the shoreline, the vision of ribboned gift boxes rising out of the lake one after another. In school, I had courted visions like this and learned a secret or two for getting those hidden fish of the mind to rise. A year of carrying cement block and cutting 16-inch beams slaps the vision right out of you. A year of hard labor and my smoky visions were in tatters, and now, just like that, ta-da, a line of unending presents waiting to be opened, just what I always wanted, and going on forever. In 1962, on a family car trip west, I had seen in Jenny Lake the sublime scene of mountains reflected in still water. It transformed into a riveting vision all its own. The sawtooth peaks doubled in the mirror of a lake became the toothy maw of two dogs mouth to mouth. In school, I had seen this vision transform into an opening into another world. That ridgeline, doubled in the lake, described pretty well a gateway into another world. The line, thin, like the green cambium layer under the papery bark of a twig, or maybe the surface tension on water, the thinnest of lines, separating one world from another. Sitting by the mountain lake, fresh from a chilly dip in my mind's eye, I saw a slip of writing hidden in the first box landing at my feet. Lake Santa at the edge of never. This is what came to me. Lake Santa at the edge of never. Then the gift box rose up and lifted into the clear blue at 9,500 feet, followed by another and another, winding around Grand Teton Peak, floating off all the way to California. A cavalry of marching surprises, gaily wrapped, waiting to be opened. Okay, I got my answer. Off to California. It's taken me some 50 years to figure out the depth of that Lake Santa experience. 50 years of climbing up and over and around various rock falls, sometimes into dead-end caves. It seems overcoming obstacles is a kind of Pilates of the spirit, fighting your way via the pictures you make up in your mind, the core of the mind getting in shape. And if impediments to progress are seen as strengthening, it's there to help you. Eventually, you get to recognizing the mind as a self-generating personal trainer. So to hold the mystery of the unseen, say what you see when you close your eyes. And just to say, I've always had my feet planted firmly in two worlds, the rational world of science and the Enlightenment, walking hand in hand with the world of the imagination and art and poetry. Science and art are most powerful when they live in balance, each informing the other. So this very vision came to me, pretty flimsy in its pretense, but sometimes it holds tight to a lighted alcove in my mind, explicated with an interpretive sign. So here we go. Let's journey to the edge of never. Here's a gift from Lake Santa. The fact of me drawing again is a tremendous gift. I'd had a 12-year layoff first because I was too busy with the business of being impresario to other artists, helping to bring their cockamamie ideas into the world of meaning. Busy enough to slow production of my own handmade stuff to an ooze. And then, with increasing disability via nerve disorder, I gave it up altogether. Hey, Gramping, why are your hands so wiggly? The grandkids call me Gramping. It was okay. I had plenty of discards and abandoned scraps to arrange and rearrange to make my stories. I don't draw anymore was my motto and mantra, and now, another in a long line of presents from Lake Santa comes the gift of me drawing again. This is not a great drawing, or maybe not even a very good one, but the fact of it says to me, go ahead. What a gift.